Welcome again to Reflections, and today I want to tell you that you are not insignificant. You are not. If anybody has been putting you down and making you think that you are irrelevant, you are not important, in fact, they just walk into a room and they just pass by you as if you don't exist. You are not. You are significant. You are somebody of importance. There's an interesting story in 2 Kings chapter 5. It's the story of Naaman, the army general of Syria, who was also a leper. You can imagine he was the commander of the Syrian army, had direct access to the king, highly regarded by his society. I mean, he was a war general, so people revered him. He was important to the continued existence of his nation, Syria. And because of the importance to the existence of that nation, they ignored the fact that he was a leper. And also, you can imagine somebody of such high governmental, political influence, societal influence. You can imagine the retinue of workers that would have been in his house, the officers, the soldiers reporting to him, the advisors. And then when you come to his domestic staff, the cooks, the gardeners, the whatever, and lots of servants, maid servants, male servants. And there was a little girl. I'm sure she was the least of the people who served him. And she must have, I'm sure whenever she had to perform any chores for her mistress, because she definitely could not go into the presence of Naaman, she was a little slave girl. She probably was one of the ones who would just come in quietly, do whatever they needed to do and leave. Come in quietly, do whatever she was assigned to do for the day and leave. Very quiet. Her voice must not be heard because she was the least of the least. But one day, this little girl, who everybody regarded as of very little significance, the low of the lows, looked her mistress in the eye and said, "Ma'am, I think that there might be a solution to my master, your husband's leprosy problem." I'm sure the woman of the house looked at her and would have thought, what does this little girl know? But she listened. And when somebody has a problem, they will listen to everybody. And she must have said, yes, so what is it? And the little girl said, you know what, ma'am, I think there is a prophet in my nation, in my country. I think he can help your husband, the general. And the woman said, really? Are you sure? And the little girl must have said, yes. These are some of the things that prophet has done. I'm sure she gave the woman of the house some testimonies. This is why it is critical that we share testimonies. I'm sure she just didn't say, oh, there's a man who can cure your husband of leprosy, and the man packed his stuff and started going, the whole army general. He must have said, give me proof. And the girl must have told a few testimonies. And I'm sure they must have, even though there was no Google, they must have had a way of confirming, sending someone there to say, is it true? Is there such a prophet as this in this land? And if there is, what has he done before he will set out from Syria to the land of Israel to go and meet the prophet? That little girl shot up from insignificance to somebody who the whole of the palace would probably have been saying, next time I have a problem, I will want this little girl to know about it. Maybe she will send me to somebody who can help me. God will position you. God will position you so that you will be a person of significance. If you are being pushed around by everybody right now, just hang in there. It just takes a moment. It's one little open door. It's one little opportunity. It's one little need that propels you from that position of insignificance to the person everybody wants to listen to. That little girl had one moment. And when that one moment came, she used it. Yesterday, I talked about being the star of the show. I'm sure from that day on, this little girl became the star of the show in the palace. Her voice was not heard in just mean places. Her voice was reverberating in the palace. There's a prophet in the land of Israel. If my master goes to see him, he will make him clean of his leprosy. She said that to her mistress. Her mistress said that to her husband. Her husband went to the palace to talk to the king about it. The king gave him a letter. One little girl's information traveled to the very top of the nation Syria. Resources were harnessed, preparations made for this general Naaman to take the trip to Israel. Everybody heard about it. That Naaman is going to the land of Israel because there's a prophet there who heals leprosy. I'm sure the whole nation was agog waiting for when Naaman will come back. And I'm sure when Naaman came back and his skin was as clean as that of a newborn baby, what do you think would have been done for that little girl? I can see somebody lifting her up high in the air like a trophy. You will be celebrated. You will be celebrated. Remove your eyes from all the things around you and fix your gaze on God. You know, as I always say, that your story is the next success story. You put something online, nobody even notices you. Don't worry about it. It takes one moment. It took one moment. Everyone knew about. We don't even know her name. We are not told her name. They described her as a little slave girl. Good news is coming to you. I hope you haven't been missing any of our reflection series. I encourage you, share this link. A lot of people want to hear some good news. Be a blessing to them. Help us to share so that more people will be blessed. And of course, you know that as you sow, you yourself will reap a harvest of blessing. So as you move out again, I want you to understand that you are significant. You are critical to somebody's success. And when you do your assignments in their life, you will also be celebrated. Again, it's from Yobilano bringing you the good news pill for today, bringing you hope as usual on Reflections.